Shocking. Birthright citizenship just changed forever? Picture this. A newborn baby, cradled in their mother's arms, denied the automatic right to call America home simply because of their parents' immigration status. Sounds unthinkable, right? For over a century, the United States has proudly upheld birthright citizenship, a bedrock principle guaranteeing that anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen, no questions asked. But on June 27, 2025, the Supreme Court dropped a bombshell that could shake this foundation to its core. In a 6-3 ruling, the court didn't directly gut birthright citizenship, but it unleashed a seismic shift in how legal battles over it will unfold. President Donald Trump's audacious executive order to limit this sacred right is now closer to reality than ever before. Is the America we know changing forever? Let's dive into this shocking development and unpack what it means for millions. Understanding birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment. To grasp the stakes, we need to start with the basics. What is birthright citizenship? Rooted in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1868 after the Civil War, it declares, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This clause was a direct rebuke to the infamous Dred Scott decision, which denied citizenship to enslaved people and their descendants. It promised equality under the law, ensuring that anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' status, became a citizen. The landmark 1898 Supreme Court case United States v. Wong Kim Ark cemented this interpretation. The court ruled that a child born in San Francisco to Chinese immigrant parents, who were not citizens, was still a U.S. citizen by birth. For over a century, this has been settled law, a cornerstone of American identity that distinguishes the U.S. from many other nations. It's why babies born in New York, Texas, or anywhere else in the country automatically gain citizenship, no matter who their parents are. This principle has woven itself into the fabric of the nation until now, when it's under unprecedented attack. The Supreme Court's game-changing ruling. On June 27, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a 6-3 ruling in 3 consolidated cases: Trump v. Casa, Inc., Trump v. Washington, and Trump v. New Jersey. Let us be clear, the court did not rule on whether Trump's executive order is constitutional. It didn't overturn the 14th Amendment or rewrite birthright citizenship itself. So why the shockwaves? The court fundamentally altered the legal battlefield by curbing the power of federal judges to issue nationwide injunctions. These are sweeping court orders that halt a policy everywhere in the U.S., not just for the specific people or states suing. The conservative majority, led by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, argued that such injunctions likely exceed the equitable authority that Congress has given to federal courts. Barrett's opinion was sharp. When the executive branch acts unlawfully, courts shouldn't respond by overreaching themselves. Instead, injunctions should be limited to protecting only the plaintiffs who sue like the 22 states, advocacy groups, or individuals in these cases. This means Trump's order could potentially move forward in the 28 states not part of the lawsuits or for people not named as plaintiffs. The court gave a 30-day grace period before the order could take effect, giving lower courts time to rethink their rulings and advocacy groups a chance to pivot. The liberal justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented with fury. Sotomayor, reading her dissent aloud from the bench, called the ruling a travesty of law that could cause chaos for families. She warned that it leaves the president generally free to enforce unquestionably unconstitutional policies against anyone who hasn't sued. Justice Jackson went further, labeling the decision an existential threat to the rule of law, arguing it hands the executive branch unchecked power. The ideological divide was stark, and Trump himself celebrated, calling it a monumental victory for the Constitution in a rare White House briefing room appearance. Trump's executive order, a direct challenge entered President Donald Trump, who, on his first day back in office on January 20, 2025, signed a bombshell executive order titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. This order took direct aim at birthright citizenship, seeking to deny it to children born in the U.S. if their parents are undocumented on temporary visas, or if at least one parent isn't a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. According to plaintiffs challenging the order, this could strip citizenship from over 150,000 newborns annually, a staggering figure that underscores the scale of Trump's ambition. The backlash was swift and fierce. Immigrant rights groups like CASA and the Asylum Seeker Advocacy Project, along with 22 states, 2 cities, and several pregnant women, filed lawsuits arguing the order is blatantly unconstitutional. Federal judges in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Washington state agreed, issuing nationwide injunctions court orders that blocked the policy across the entire country, not just for the plaintiffs. These judges, including U.S. District Judge John Kofener, didn't mince words, calling Trump's order a direct violation of the 14th Amendment. For a moment, it seemed the issue was dead in the water. But then, the Supreme Court stepped in and everything changed. Immediate and future implications. What does forever change really mean? So, has birthright citizenship really changed forever? Not quite, but the legal landscape has. By limiting nationwide injunctions, the Supreme Court has opened the door for Trump's order to take effect in some states, or for some people creating a chaotic patchwork, where a baby born in Texas might be denied citizenship, while one born in Maryland is not. Imagine the confusion. Families crossing state lines, unsure if their newborn is a citizen, facing barriers to benefits like Medicaid or Social Security. Legal experts predict a surge in class action lawsuits, where groups like CASA are already seeking class certification to protect all affected children nationwide. These lawsuits could restore broader protections, but they face higher procedural hurdles than injunctions. The 30-day delay gives advocates a window to regroup, but the clock is ticking. Attorney General Pam Bondi hinted that the Supreme Court may take up the core constitutional question whether Trump's order violates the 14th Amendment in its next session starting in October. If that happens, the stakes couldn't be higher. A ruling against birthright citizenship would append over a century of precedent, potentially leaving thousands of newborns stateless and their families vulnerable to deportation. Critics, including New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin, warn of chaos on the ground as states grapple with inconsistent citizenship rules. The ACLU and others vow to fight on, calling the order blatantly illegal and cruel. This procedural shift doesn't end birthright citizenship, but it tilts the playing field toward the executive branch. It's why the Change Forever sensation is rippling through communities, legal circles, and the media. The fight is no longer just about the 14th Amendment. It's about who gets to decide America's future and how. The road ahead, an uncertain future, the battle is far from over. Lower courts will now revisit their injunctions, potentially narrowing them to cover only specific plaintiffs. Meanwhile, class action lawsuits are already in motion, aiming to shield as many families as possible. The Supreme Court's next term could bring a direct ruling on the constitutionality of Trump's order, a decision that could redefine what it means to be American. Will the court uphold 127 years of precedent, or will it hand Trump a victory that reshapes citizenship for generations? Millions are watching, waiting, and preparing for what's next. Voices from the ground. Families caught in the crossfire. What does this mean for real people? Imagine being Maria, a pregnant mother in Arizona, one of the 28 states not covered by the initial lawsuits. If Trump's order takes effect, her baby, born on U.S. soil, might not be granted. Friends of Maria could face immediate challenges: denial of a birth certificate, inability to enroll in school, or even vulnerability to deportation years later. The uncertainty is paralyzing. Advocacy groups report stories of families like Maria's, who are now living in fear, avoiding hospitals or public services to stay under the radar. The Supreme Court's ruling has turned their lives into a legal limbo, where the promise of citizenship, once a certainty, is now a question mark. These human stories highlight the stakes, turning abstract legal debates into heart-wrenching realities. How can a nation built on inclusion justify leaving its newest residents in such uncertainty? The political firestorm. A nation divided, this ruling isn't just a legal earthquake, it's a political lightning rod. Trump and his supporters framed the executive order as a necessary step to curb birth tourism and protect American sovereignty, claiming the 14th Amendment was never meant to cover children of undocumented immigrants. Opponents, including Democratic leaders and immigrant rights groups, call it a cruel attack on a fundamental right, accusing the administration of xenophobia and constitutional overreach. Protests have erupted in cities like Los Angeles and New York, with chants of citizenship is a right, echoing through the streets. Meanwhile, conservative commentators celebrate the Supreme Court's ruling as a victory for law and order. Social media platforms like X are ablaze with heated debates, with hashtags like #BirthrightBattle trending. This divide isn't just legal, it's a raw emotional clash over what America stands for. Will this ruling unite or further fracture a polarized nation? Global echoes. How the world sees this. The world is watching. Countries like Canada and Brazil, which also grant birthright citizenship, are eyeing the U.S. with concern, wondering if their own policies could face similar challenges. International human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, have condemned Trump's order as a violation of international norms, arguing that denying citizenship based on parent status risks creating stateless children, a breach of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. In Europe, where many nations have stricter citizenship laws, some leaders see the U.S. debate as a cautionary tale, while others view it as a sign of rising global anti-immigrant sentiment. This isn't just an American story. It's a global flashpoint, raising questions about belonging and human rights. Could the U.S., long a beacon of opportunity, set a precedent that ripples worldwide? Compelling conclusion: the Supreme Court's June 27, 2025 ruling didn't erase birthright citizenship, but it sent shockwaves through the legal system, cracking open the door for a policy that could tear at the heart of American identity. This isn't just a legal debate, it's about who belongs, who gets to call this nation home, and whether a single judge can stand up to a president's agenda. Families are caught in a web of uncertainty, the nation is divided, and the world is watching. As the fight moves forward, one thing is clear: the future of birthright citizenship hangs in the balance, and its outcome will shape America for decades. Stay informed, because this story is far from over, and the next chapter could change everything.